Persuasion is an art as well as a weapon that can take listeners in directions they aren't able to predict while remaining complicit. How can persuasion become a time bomb that can negatively affect you and the world around you? Welcome to 4C's One Family. Welcome to 4C's One Family, where we share thoughts about how important it is to keep the world thinking, communicating, free, and connected. I'm your host, James Thomas, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan, and welcome to the show. When listening to the radio, a speech, or reading a newspaper or document, it's normal for an outsider to have a different point of view or come to a different conclusion. It also becomes easy to understand why people who feel hopeless believe everything they hear on the radio, watch on TV, read in newspapers, or on the internet. Now is the time to ask how speakers and writers use their talent to keep their audience's attention and captivate a crowd. How do these individuals use their tantalizing skills to become social and political musicians that sway public policy and opinions, and have they mastered the art of persuasion? Professional speakers and writers say that the key to holding the interest of an audience is to understand their concerns, needs, and dreams. Words are selectively chosen to intensify the feeling the speaker or writer wants to convey. In this way, observers can be persuaded or almost hypnotized into believing irrefutably a particular or pre-designed point of view. So how can we ensure that we are developing the correct opinions? Luckily, well-known social scientists and psychologists have publicly criticized several persuasive speakers and writers because, from their point of view, gullible followers lack the foresight and gumption to fend off powerful and influential people with dominant personalities. And because of this, mainly deceptive speakers and thought leaders have been using their skills or influential positions to place false images in the minds of weak-minded followers, supporters, and believers. Robert Cialdini, who himself is an influential speaker and writer, has written books breaking down how persuasive deliveries relate to sales and related subtopics. Mr. Cialdini offers insight into a concept called persuasion in his New York Times best-selling book, Persuasion, a revolutionary way to influence and persuade. Persuasion focuses on what needs to be done to get customers, and I would add listeners and viewers, to become more responsive or susceptible to what is being presented or sold to them. This is often done by refocusing attention on the topic the speaker or writer wants to convey by creating a story that redirects and oversimplifies opposing views and makes them appear as a risk or danger. This is when the use of slogans like
"Drain the swamp"
and
"Yes, we can,"
and
"by any means necessary"
can become useful encouragement to already persuaded congregations. Persuasion is used as a springboard to present, control, and push ideals created to convince people that what is offered to them is factual and valuable. It becomes easier for critical thinking observers to understand why persuasive entertainers, politicians, and other influencers define terms that construct conspiracy theories and how they spread them to a large and receptive audience. Manipulators work selfishly to create scenarios that naive audiences feel jeopardize their existence. For example, a poor person may be persuaded to believe that rich people are taking money from them and hoarding wealth. In contrast, wealthy people may be persuaded to believe that people in lower economic classes are trying to take or even steal their wealth. Endless topics can build social and political divisions. For example, in the US, persuasive debates led to actions concerning voting rights, immigration, marriage preferences, and even the banning of library books, which is causing the derailment of mutual goals that are supposed to keep a nation united and protected. Controversy has reached a boiling point concerning how several influential and persuasive individuals are brainwashing people into thinking something they actively promote is an accurate, factual version of events that took place in the past, are taking place now, or will one day take place in the future. And because many people don't have enough experience to help them distinguish between fact and fiction, they don't have the slightest interest in double-checking what they have read or heard from people they regard as reliable sources. Keep in mind that questioning what we read or heard is simply a mind exercise that helps us develop critical thinking skills and diminishes cognitive dissonance. The truth may be that some people aren't able to face reality or just plainly insecure. And these people may need help making decisions. People with low self-esteem look for influential leaders to guide them. And the feeling of needing leadership can be dangerous to those being led if the leader is dishonest, incompetent, or lacks leadership skills. Persuasive people and organizations have learned how to manipulate and control sources of information to create public opinion that is in their favor. And it's no secret that governments have used their media outlets to create persuasive propaganda that puts their actions and policies in good light. Could this be why it's so hard for some of us to admit that our point of view may be flawed or simply incorrect? Unfortunately, with the aid of technology, unethical individuals, foundations, institutions, and especially nations with authoritarian governments use targeted persuasive propaganda as a powerful tool to shape and remotely control their population's education and thoughts, leaving very little room for self-development and creation, which strips away a population's drive and determination, resulting in not only social and political mind control, but also creates bleakness about the future. In retrospect, propaganda isn't hard to implement and observe. This may be hard to believe, but most of us don't really know what propaganda is. Most of us would define it as something universally destructive when, in reality, it should be described as a creative way to persuade a population to act a certain way or take part in a particular activity. Propaganda is influential rhetoric placed before us everywhere we go, in every article we read, and on every device we use every day. All media is biased, including this presentation. When presenting or promoting a belief or opinion, it is simply impossible not to be biased. So persuasive propaganda is focused on brainwashing on a large scale. All nations have economic and social and political classes that are publicly or privately opposed. However, not all countries allow their citizens to express opposition openly, at least not in public. And because many of us don't have access to resources or training to teach us how to analyze and compare what we have read or heard, it is becoming too easy for us to fall victim to persuasion and persuasive propaganda. Conflict will occur if class struggles become amplified or exaggerated. Also, when people are set in their own opinions, persuading them of other opinions or possibilities is tough and can sometimes be dangerous. This is why it must be required that persuasive individuals, speakers, and writers give clarification and references that prove that what they are promoting originates from sources that offer opposing views, because without clear and well-defined outlines, rules, or regulations to ensure reliability, we all risk the possibility of becoming useful idiots. I would like to hear your honest answers to the questions and opinions presented. Please leave a comment below. And here is a link that may help us understand why people lie. If you have found what we have to offer of any value, please click on the subscribe and bell buttons below to keep up to date with our current episodes. And if you're listening to our podcast, please subscribe and help us spread the word that we have much more in common than we think. We're very interested to hear what you have to say. For 4C's One Family, I'm James Thomas in Taipei, Taiwan. And remember to stay strong, safe, and healthy wherever you are in the world.